Welcome to another Earth Science podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Buss, and this is going to be a very short podcast on absolute dating of rocks. So first thing you need to know is this. You can really only use radiometric dating or radioactivity, such as uranium to lead decay, for things like igneous rocks. Okay, so over here to the right are some igneous rocks. So these rocks are, I think you're looking at them, granite, gabbro, basalt, rhyolite, obsidian, and scoria, for example. And igneous rocks such as those are going to be formed from magma or lava. So magma that's in the ground that cools as a sill, dike, batholith, xenolith, those types of things, or as lava that is erupted from a volcano. So if you take granite and igneous rock, the second it forms, it's going to have some uranium within it and no lead. So for this example, like the activity we did in class, we'll say that when the rock was formed, it happened to have 128 uranium-235 atoms in there and no lead-207, and it was just formed, so it doesn't really have an age. So after one half-life goes by, which for this rock is equivalent to 0.7 billion years, or we were talking about 704 million years in class, which is the same thing as 0.7 billion years, we're going to have half of 128, which is 64, left. And that 64 lead atoms will have been formed. If another half-life goes by, which is another 0.7 billion years. So now the rock is 1.4 billion years old. Then half of the remaining uranium, half of 64, will go to lead as well. So it'll be left with 32 atoms of lead, and you'll have 32 atoms of uranium and 96 atoms of lead. So you can see that every time a half-life goes by, half of the existing uranium becomes lead. So can you solve a word problem related to this concept? If you get a question on a test such as this, if gabbro in igneous rock was found to have a uranium-235 to lead-207 ratio of 1:1, how old is the rock? We'll go back to our previous slide here. A 1:1 ratio is equivalent to what you see when one half-life has gone by. A 64-to-64 ratio is the same thing as a 1:1 ratio, which means one half-life has gone by, which means that the rock is 0.7 billion years old. So going back to here, a 1:1 ratio equals one half-life, and in our case, one half-life equals 0.7 billion years. And that concludes our podcast on the absolute dating of rocks.